भवन अमंगल हारी मंगल भवन अमंगल हारी दो सुदशरथ अजिर बिहारी द्रौ सुदशरथ अजिर बिहारी जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करो गुरु देव की नाई कृपा करो गुरु देव की नाई जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई मंगल भवन मंगल हारी जनक सुता जग जननी जानकी अतिशय प्रिय करुणा निधान की ताके जुगपद कमल मनाहूँ जासु कृपा निर्मल मति पाहूँ. We are with the apes and the bears and the aged eagle Sampati on some higher hills, rocks by the ocean. And we saw Sampati last time coming there, finding ready to eat food in the form of apes fasting to death. And then the ensuing dialogues between the aged eagle and the apes, is coming to know of Jatayu's death and then is going forth to try and help the apes and the bears in their mission of searching for Sita. And he's telling them the story of how his son had, who looks after him because his wings are burnt, and he's aged. The son brings him food every day. One day he had not come back, and then he had come and told the reason. He got very angry and scolded his son for not bringing his food. Then he had said, no, father, it happened like this. I was right at the mouth of the Mahendra mountain, from where all creatures have to come and go if they have to go to the sea, so that I could catch them. But then in the sky I saw, he told the story of how he saw Ravana carrying Sita. He didn't know who it was. He went to attack them and Ravana negotiated, saying, let me go now. So he said, somebody talks in a conciliatory way, even the worst of people will not attack, so I let them go. And that lady was keeping on, she was shouting Rama, Lakshmana all the time, looking like a lightning against a mass of collyrium. She was, etc. And then Sampati saying that was Ravana the Rakshasa. And he tells the monkeys, you monkeys are handpicked by Sugriva. Nothing is impossible for you. The 10-headed Ravana may be powerful, he is indeed strong, but you can also take him on. There is nothing that you cannot do. And do not waste time now. Intelligent folks like you, do not delay when the time calls for action. We ended there last time. So now the eagle had said, you please help me to the sea. I have to offer water libations to my brother. who has gone to heaven, Jatayu. So they had helped him, and the eagle had offered Tarpanam. And when he was in high spirits, having done that, he addressed Angada. All the apes were sitting around the eagle by the shore. And he looked at Angada and spoke to him, Sampati, and said, "Let all apes listen to me in perfect silence, with undisturbed attention. I mentioned to you about my fall from the sky. Having fallen on the peak of Vindhya mountain, I recovered consciousness after 10 days. I looked around and I did not know where I was. I was helpless and my mind was whirling. Then I focused and I looked around to see what is this terrain. I saw the hills, I saw the sea, I saw the rivers forking to the sea, and I saw the forests on the slopes, and I realized I am on the Vindhya mountain. I am near the southern sea. And then I remembered that Jatayu and I often used to come here to the ashrama of a sage of name Nishakara. An ashrama who was a holy ashrama which is honored even by the gods themselves. Where lived the great sage Nishakara, who was given to tapasya. So I decided to make my way there somehow. With great difficulty dragging my body down the mountain. Somehow over the uneven ground, which had sharp thorns and darbha grass and sharp stones, which were hurting me, I dragged myself to find the ashrama of the sage. In the vicinity of his ashrama, the winds are always laden with fragrance. And all the trees around his ashrama will have flowers and fruits all year round. Slowly, I reached his ashrama. And I waited at the foot of the tree, anxious to see the sage. After some time, I saw him. I saw the sage Nishakara. He was returning from the south after his bath. He must have gone to the sea to have his bath, or to some river that side. He was returning after his bath and he was looking absolutely resplendent. As he walked towards the ashrama, eagle can see very far. As he walked towards the ashrama, behind him, along with him, were walking lions and tigers and elephants and many other crawling and creeping creatures. Like all creatures, come to someone who feeds them. And when the sage entered inside the ashrama, the creatures stopped and they dispersed, like officials and troops do when the king retires for the day. They just escorted him to the ashrama and they left. The sage saw me, he was pleased to see me. He went, however, into his ashrama. But he came out later and then asked me about my business. He said, listen, I could not recognize you at first because of the damage your feathers have suffered. My friend, your wings seem burnt by fire. And your body is a mass of swords. Somebody take a human form and clasp my feet. What happened to you? Tell me. I told the sage, oh blessed one, I am unable to answer you properly, being wounded, tired, and I am overwhelmed by shame. Jatayu and I had made a bet. We were in Kailasha, and in front of the assembled sages there, he and I, both young, both proud of our abilities, had a bet. That we would follow the sun all the way up to the mountain behind which it sets. So we took off, both of us, from Kailasha. We climbed higher and higher and higher. We climbing to a height, we found the cities below looked no bigger than cart wheels. As we flew along with the sun, in some cities we could hear music. In some cities we heard the chanting of the Vedas rising up into the sky. And in some cities we saw women clad in red and singing. We flew higher. We flew higher. Now the mountains, Himalaya, Vindhya and all that, they looked as small as pebbles. And the rivers, they look like little threads which are worn by the earth. And now the sun was beating down upon us, and we were getting dazed by the glare. We could not make out any direction. What is south? What is east? The world seemed to go dark in front of our eyes, and the mind and senses were becoming a terrifying blank. Everything became dark, and the mind was not working. The senses were not working. Then I, strenuously striving, reviving the power of vision of my eye and uniting it with my mind, I succeeded by a tremendous effort to steady myself. And then I saw the state of my brother Jatayu, who could not steady himself, and he was collapsing and he was falling away towards the earth. I swiftly dived. And with my wings I covered him from the burning rays of the sun. With my wings as cover, Jatayu escaped from being burnt. But my wings got totally burnt, and I fell off from the sky down onto the Vindhya. O sage, having lost my kingdom, having lost my brother, having lost my speed, having lost my strength, having lost my flight, having lost my wings, I long for nothing more than death. I wish to die. Having said this to the great sage, I wept in distress. The Blessed One thought a bit, and then he told me, you will grow new wings and feathers. You will recover your senses, your eyesight, your speed, your strength. पुराणेषु महत्कार्यं भविष्यति मया श्रुतं दृष्टं मे तपसा चैव श्रुत्वा च विदितं मम. I have heard long ago, O Sampati, that a very great work has been reserved for you. Sumahat Karyam. You are going to be instrumental in a great task. I have heard. And I have seen it, that Karyam, in my tapasya. I have heard it, I have seen it in my tapasya, and I know it. There will be a great king of Ayodhya named Dasharatha, who will have a son of great power known as Rama. He, of infallible prowess, will be exiled to the forest, and he will go there with his wife Sita and his brother Lakshmana in obedience to his father's orders. Ravana, the king of Rakshasas, who will be immune from death at the hands of Devas and Asuras, he will carry off Rama's wife from the forest. She will be kept in confinement by Ravana, and she will be tempted with all sorts of pleasures. But the blessed Maithili, being submerged in sorrows, will have none of it. And she will be starving. Knowing that she was starving, Indra will send her a rare food, the equal of Amrita, which is beyond the reach even of the Devas. Knowing that it had come from Indra, Maithili will pour out a part of it on the ground as an offering to Rama, saying, Yadi jivati bharta me Lakshmanena saha prabhu devatvam gacchator vapi tayorannam tvida iti. If my husband is alive, along with Lakshmana, or even if he has achieved Devatva, may this food reach him. So she poured a part of that Amrita equivalent food given by Indra onto the earth. This story is very much in Valmiki Ramayana. But you will miss it. You will miss it. She ate nothing. This kept her. Indra had sent that Amrita equivalent food for her. This Ramayana, it keeps revealing itself little by little. And the great sage Ramanuja had wanted to learn properly the Ramayana, he had gone to Tirumala Tirupati, where there was an Acharya from whom he wanted to learn. And the great sage would not set his foot on the hill, no? He would go on the knees. Went up. Learn Ramayana from. The Guru said, you read it fully and then come. He read it, he came back. It takes time. It takes time to read. Long time. Whole Ramayana. That to Acharya is asked, so you have to read properly. You want to learn. He went back and said, I have read. He said, go read again. He went back and he read again and he came back. He said, I have read. He said, go read again. He sent him 18 times to read. Then he said, now I'll tell you. Now I'll tell you. That is for sage Ramanuja. What to speak. Even this small story of Indra giving is very much there, but you will not see it. Now, now, Sampati is telling them the story. He says, apes, Nishakara is telling Sampati, when Sita has been taken away by Rakshasa Ravana, a search party of apes will come, searching for her. And at that time, O bird, you should tell them the whereabouts of the Rama's queen. Most certainly, don't go away from here. Be here. In any case, where will you go in this state of yours? Deshakalo pratikshasva pakshau tvam pratipatsyase. Wait for the right time and the right place, and you will regain your wings. Be patient. I could give you your wings right now, but I do not wish to do so. I do not wish to do so. By remaining here, you will be doing a great service to all the worlds. You wings, go away somewhere. Tvaya bhigalu tatkaryam tayoschandripaputrayo brahmananam suranam ja muninam vasavasya cha. That work that you have to do for those two sons of kings, you have to do that work which is of critical importance for all devas, for all sages, for all Vaidikas, and for Indra too. Ichhamyaham api dhrashtum bhratarau Rama Lakshmanau nechechiram dharetum pranantyakshe kalevaram. Actually, even I'm very keen to see the brothers Rama and Lakshmana. Myself was eager. But I can't hold on to this life. And I wish to now give up this body. Maharshistvabravidam, Maharshistvabravidevam, Drishtatatvartha darshana. I want to discard this body. So said the great sage who had realized the supreme truth. The sage thus cheered me up and gave me leave. And more than 100 years have passed since that day. In all this time, I have been consumed by much anxiety and doubts. But I have treasured the sage's words in my heart and lived on. Whenever I felt like giving up my life, I repressed that temptation by remembering the sage's words. One day you will get your wings. I scolded my son. I scolded my son for not rescuing Maithili, even though I knew of Ravana's strength myself. Because of my friendship for Dasharatha, I was not pleased with my son's conduct. Only this comes. Jatayu said he is a friend. Sampati is also Dasharatha's friend. And even as Sampati was saying this, his two wings sprouted before the very eyes of the apes. And when Sampati himself saw the fresh grown reddish brown feathers on his body, his joy knew no bounds. And he told the apes, Trishe Nishakarasyaiva Prabhavadamitatmanah Aditya Rashmir Dagdhau Paksho Me Punarupasthitau Yauvane Vartamanasya Mamasidhya Parakramah Tamevadhyavagacchami Balam Paurushamevacha. By the grace of sage Nishakara, the sage of limitless power, my wings that had been burnt by the rays of the sun have grown again. I shall instantly recover the prowess that I had in youth, as well as my strength and paurusha. He looked at the apes and said, "It's now over to you. Make an all-out effort and find Sita. My growing wings is a reassuring indication that your efforts will be crowned with success." Having said this to the apes, Sampati, the great bird, flew up from the mountain. First to test his ability to sail along the sky, and then he soared away into the beyond. The apes, they looked on. And then they realized, we know where Sita is. And they started jumping up and down, shouting in joy. They were all eager to see Sita now. After jumping for some time, they came down to earth. And then they went to the sea and they looked. As they stood there, Valmiki says, as they stood there in the northern shore of the southern sea, the vast sea, it looked like a mirror of the entire world. The sight of it made their hair stand on end. It seemed endless, impossible to cross. Now slowly dejecting, dismayed, they all broke out into one cry, "What do we do?" And Angada was seeing his whole team now frightened. And he took charge. He told them all, "Look, yielding to dejection is the worst of sins. Dejection kills a man, just as an angry serpent kills a young child. He who succumbs to despondency when the time is actually calling for valor, such a person will never gain his end because of his impotence." It was night time. He said, "Let us now retire for the night and think over it. We'll sleep over it." They slept. And morning they got up, and all of them now again went to Angada. And they were all very edgy. They were all, none of them was rested or something. They were all. And Valmiki says, only Angada or Hanuman could have controlled those apes. Totally, they were all, like a bomb about to burst they were. Addressing the group, Angada now said, order. I would like to ask you all, who is he that going by the virtue of his mighty power shall cross the sea to make good the word of King Sugriva? Who is the hero who will leap across the ocean 100 yojanas and free the apes from fear? Who is it? Who is it that we must owe our gratitude to for enabling us to go back to see our homes and wives and children once again? By whose favor will we all go back and gladly greet Rama and Lakshmana and King Sugriva? If there be any ape among you who is capable of crossing the sea, let him extend to us quickly the saving grace that frees from fear. Let that hero speak up now. The apes were speechless. No one said a word. The entire army that was there seemed petrified by the very prospect. None spoke. Angada heard the silence. And then he again said, all of you, each one of you, is of immense strength. Each one of you is from a noble family. All of you have won great honors individually. None of you has ever let any obstacle come in the way of achieving your objectives. So come now, speak up. Speak up, each one of you. Tell me, each one of you, how far can you fly? How far can each of you fly? Gaja said, I can leap 10 yojanas. Gavaksha said, I can fly 20. Gavaya said, I can do 30. I can fly 30 yojanas. Sarabha said, I can go 40. Gandhamadana said, I can surely do 50. I can do 50. 50 I can jump. Mahinda said, I can fly a minimum of 60 yojanas. And his twin Dvivida said, I have not the least doubt I can fly 70 yojanas. The great ape chief Sushena said, I can fly 80 yojanas of great apes. Then Jambavan spoke. He spoke to the group very courteously and he said, in days gone by I could have done it. But now I have almost reached the limit of the allotted span of life for me. But given the business at hand, I have to do what I can do, and I can leap 90 yojanas. I am sure I can leap 90 yojanas even now. But then this is by no means what I was capable of before. When Lord Vishnu was covering the three worlds with his strides, I did pradakshina of his feet each time. During my youth, my speed was unmatched by any. But now I am old. I am old. And 90 yojanas is all I am capable of. Which, I am afraid, is not enough to accomplish our purpose. Then the large-hearted Angada himself spoke. And he said, I can do this long stretch of 100 yojanas, but whether I can return, I do not know. I cannot say. Jambavan quickly said, we know your power of speed, O greatest of apes. You can easily go 100 or even 1,000 yojanas and come back. But that is not the proper thing to do. It is for you as master to order others to go, my son. You should not be asked to go. All of us are here to run your errands, O best of apes, O best of flyers. You have been placed as master on us. And it is our duty to ensure your safety. The army's first care of any army must be for the safety of the chief. This is the time-honored and inviolable rule. You are the taproot of the enterprise. When the root is intact, fruit and flower will follow in due course, which is true. The plant may look dead. You haven't watered it, you have gone off to Manali, come back to find your plant all dead. Enjoyed the snows. Then slowly you start watering again, suddenly after 1 week the leaf will come again. Root was intact. Why we don't know, it was there. You are the root of the enterprise. When the root is intact, fruit and flower will follow in due course. Following you, we shall achieve our objectives. You should not go, O chief. When Angada heard this, he said, I cannot go, you cannot go, nobody can go. Then clearly, fasting to death is the only alternative. Or is there any other way? If there is any other way, then you who are wise in regard to all means and ends, please tell me. Tell us how to manage them. To Jambavan. Jambavan replied, this enterprise of which you are in charge, O Angada, shall not suffer the least in execution. I shall now persuade him who will bring it to a successful result. And he turned to Hanuman. Valmiki says, Hanuman, all these apes were together, Hanuman was sitting apart. He was sitting separately on one rock. He was not concerned with what was happening here. He was simply sitting. He was not uttering a single word. He was silent. He was apart. And he was looking happy and he was carefree. Carefree, he was sitting somewhere. Jambavan said, why do you sit silent and apart, not uttering a single word, O Hanuman? In power and strength, you are the equal of Sugriva. Why? You are the equal of Rama and Lakshmana themselves. The first and best among birds, the son of Vinata, Garutman, Garuda. The strength of your arm, O ape, is no less than the strength of Garuda's wings. In strength, intellect, energy and vitality, there is none your equal. How is it that you do not know what you are capable of? The Apsara Punjika Sthala, foremost of heavenly nymphs, was born as a she-ape because of a curse. But she could take any form at will. And she was the wife of the great ape Kesari. One day, when she of wide eyes stood on top of the mountain, the wind embraced her. And in great agitation, she asked, "Who is it that wishes to violate my resolve?" And the wind god answered, "O Devi, I am not violating you. Since I have touched you by my mind, you shall have a son of unmatched virtues, my equal in speed and in leap." Your mother was pleased to hear this. And she gave birth to you in a cave. And as soon as you were born, no sooner you were born, when you saw the sun rise, at that very moment, you sprang up and flew into the sky, wishing to catch it. And you shot up 300 yojanas. Even though you were scorched by the sun's rays, you did not lose heart. But Indra did, seeing you. And he hurled his Vajrayudham at you. And Indra's Vajrayudha hit you mid-flight. And you fell down on a mountain peak. And your left jaw was broken. The jaw being Hanu, you were named Hanuman. On seeing you injured, Vayu Bhagavan became very angry. And he struck work. He stopped all air movement anywhere in the world. Here it's very brief. All it says here is, the gods are all terrified and they rushed to Brahma. Later in Uttarakhanda, in more detail it will come. When air movement stopped, nobody could even go to the bathroom. They were all finished. Whole world was because movement of Vayu. So they were all desperate and they went to Brahma. Then Brahma came and pacified Vayu and also gave you, the newborn, a boon that no weapon will be able to kill you in the battlefield. Hanuman. You are not capable of being killed in the battlefield by any weapon. Indra himself was so wonderstruck by the fact that even his Vajrayudham could not cause you any pain, that he gave you the boon that death will wait for your convenience. Who can possibly do justice in describing your strength by putting it into words? You alone can do this deed, which would elicit the praise of the whole world. O Anjaneya, O son of Anjana, you are our only hope. You must now rise, O Hanuman. You must now rise to the full height of your valor. For you are most certainly the greatest among all those who fly. The entire ape army is agog to see your power in action. Up, O tiger among apes, up, O tiger among apes, rise and jump across the sea. All the apes are in despair. How can you, O Hanuman, be indifferent? Launch forth your terrific speed as Vishnu did when he took 3 strides. Hearing these words of Jambavan, Hanuman stood up and he started growing. growing, growing, growing to a massive size, delighting the army of apes who were looking at him grow like that. All of them started screaming in joy, shouting the praise of Hanuman. In absolute astonishment, they gazed at him. From all sides, they ran around to surround him and gaze at him like that. As all creatures had gazed at Narayana when he had launched on the adventure of 3 strides. And as they praised him, Hanuman, attaining his plenary strength, thrashed the ground with his tail, making the earth tremble. Filled with energy, power and enthusiasm, he looked wonderful. And as the lion in a mountain cave stretches itself to mobilize its strength, he stretched himself. And his face was shining like a smokeless fire. Hanuman himself was so exhilarated that his hair on his body stood on end. He then turned towards the apes and he first made his prostrations to the elder apes. And then he spoke. Vayu, the friend of Agni, such is his speed that it tears apart mountain peaks. So mighty is his strength, and I am his son, and there is no equal to me in the power of flight. I can, with the least delay, circle around Mount Meru 1,000 times. I can flood the entire earth by thrashing the sea with my arms. As Garuda, who preys upon snakes, swoops down from the sky, I can wheel and fly around him 1,000 times for every plunge of his. I can start from the rising sun along with the sun, beat him to the setting, come right back, meet him halfway, go down, dive to the earth, not touch the earth, swoop back, go right back and meet the sun. As I fly, on my way, I can dry up the seas, I can tear up the earth, and I can pulverize mountains. As I fly, by the force of my momentum, I can drag the ocean after me. Flowers of every kind, born by creepers and trees, shall follow me this day as I sail across the sky. My trail in the sky shall look like the Milky Way. Garuda and Vayu alone can command such power as mine. Within the winking of an eye, I can shoot up the sky like a lightning in a rain cloud. As I leap across the ocean, my appearance will be such as Vishnu's was when he in the far past took his 3 strides. My intuition tells me, and so does my reason, that I shall see Vaidehi. Rejoice, O apes! This is a Jnani's words. Only a Jnani says this. I know it because of reason. And I also know it because of intuition. My intuition tells me, and so does my reason, that I shall see Vaidehi. Rejoice, O apes! With the force of Vayu Bhagavan and the speed of Garuda, I can cross 1,000 yojanas. By a swift and sudden attack, I can snatch the Amrita Patram from Indra's hand even though he is holding a Vajrayudha in the other before he realizes. I can snatch it from Brahma, Swayambhu Brahma. And I can bring it here for you all. I could, if it comes to that, pull out Lanka and carry it with me across the sky.